Welcome students to our new YouTube channel Pharmatech, the division of excellence. So let's start to the part 2 of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, that means NSAIDs. So the NSAIDs acts by inhibiting cyclooxygenase enzyme and thus prostaglandin synthesis. These drugs act as antipyretic, analgesic and anti-inflammatory agents, and the prostaglandins play a protective role in the stomach, and non-selective cyclooxygenase inhibitors can cause gastrointestinal toxicity, that means peptic ulcer on long use. Note that the paracetamol, that means acetaminophen, has no anti-inflammatory activity, and the nimesulide and nepopam do not decreases prostaglandin synthesis. So the nimesulide and nepopam do not decreases prostaglandin synthesis. Then in first part we see the classification as the non-selective cyclooxygenase inhibitors. It inhibit the both cyclooxygenase 1 and cyclooxygenase 2 inhibitors. And the second is preferential cyclooxygenase 2 inhibitors. The inhibitory activity of cyclooxygenase 2 greater than cyclooxygenase 1. And the third is selective cyclooxygenase 2 inhibitors. Then next we see the non-selective cyclooxygenase inhibitors in details. So the first is paracetamol, also known as acetaminophen. It does not possess anti-inflammatory activity because it is ineffective in the presence of peroxides generated at the site of inflammation. Other explanation offered is that is a selective cyclooxygenase 3 inhibitors in the brain. It produces very little gastrointestinal toxicity and can be administered in patients intolerant to other NSAIDs. It is metabolized to N-acetyl para-aminobenzoquinamide NAPQ by microsomal enzymes. This metabolite has high affinity for sulfhydryl groups and can combine with the enzymes and other biomolecules, resulting in hepatotoxicity. Normally, acetaminophen is a safe drug. It is safe drug because glutathione, it contains sulfhydryl group due to presence of sulfur containing amino acid cysteine, that means cysteine, produced by the liver combines with NAPQ, that means N-acetyl para-aminobenzoquinamide, to detoxify it. However, chronic alcoholics are predisposed to toxicity because the glutathione production decreases due to liver diseases, and alcohol is a powerful inducer of microsomal enzymes. It increases the production of N-acetyl para-aminobenzoquinamide NAPQ from acetaminophen, resulting in toxicity. The acetaminophen toxicity can be decreased by providing sulfhydryl donors like N-acetyl cysteine, the antidote of choice of acetaminophen. The overdose constitutes medical emergency and 90% of patients develop severe liver damage. If plasma concentration is greater than 300 mg per ml at 4 hours or 45 mg per ml at 15 hours after digestion, the gastric lavage with activated charcoal should be done to prevent further absorption, but it is ineffective after 4 hours of ingestion. Then next we see the salicylates. The aspirin is the only irreversible inhibitor of cyclooxygenase enzyme. Other salicylates are reversible inhibitors. Apart from antipyretic, analgesic and anti-inflammatory effects, aspirin has several other indications. At low, that means 40 to 325 mg, it acts as an antiplatelet drug and is useful in the prophylaxis of myocardial infection and stroke. It acts by inhibiting cyclooxygenase enzyme and thus decreasing the synthesis of thromboxane A2, is that means platelet aggregator. However, it is also inhibit the PGI2 anti-aggregatory synthesis. So the net direct is to decrease the thromboxane A2 synthesis because the thromboxane A2 is synthesized by platelets and these are exposed to aspirin in the portal circulation. Here, it acylates cyclooxygenase enzyme and irreversible inhibits the generation of thromboxane A2. Very little aspirin reaches the systematic circulation to inhibit PGI2 synthesis. And the platelets lack nuclei and cannot synthesize cyclooxygenase enzyme once it isn't exhibited, whereas endothelin can regenerate cyclooxygenase enzyme to produces PGI2. Net effect is thus inhibition of thromboxane A2 synthesis. And the aspirin and indomethacin are useful for the closure of ductus arteriosus in children. Aspirin is used to inhibit niacin-induced flushing. It is prostaglandin mediated. And the aspirin it is also useful in dysmenorrhea and pre-eclampsia. And the cyclooxygenase 2 inhibitory action is responsible for decreased incidence of colorectal carcinoma in patients on long-term aspirin therapy. Next we see the adverse effects. The salicylates can cause dose-dependent effect on acid-base balance. The respiration on alkalosis occurs first characterized by headache, vertigo, tinnitus, vomiting and superventilation. Salicylism, excessive metabolic compensation can result in metabolic acidosis, manifested a loss of vision, hyperpyrexia, vasomotor collapse, dehydration, convulsions and coma. Chances of metabolic acidosis are more in infants because early symptoms like tinnitus and vertigo are frequently missed. The salicylate poisoning is treated by supportive measure, gastric lavage, correction of metabolic acidosis and urinary alkalinization increases the excretion. The aspirin can prolong bleeding time and should be used cautiously with anticoagulants. So at therapeutic dose, it can cause hyperuricemia by decreasing the excretion of uric acid. Therefore, it should not be used in patients with gout. It also decreases the uricosuric acid of probenecid at high dose greater than 5 gram per d. It increases the excretion of uric acid, but such high doses are not tolerated. And the aspirin is contraindicated in children. In children less than 12 years old due to increased risk of Ray's syndrome. So the other non-selective cyclooxygenase inhibitors. The indomethacin inhibit phospholipase PLPA2 and possesses the immunosuppressive properties apart from its cyclooxygenase inhibitory action. It causes more gastrointestinal upset and other NSAIDs. It is implicated in causing headache, analgesic, causing pain and sedation. And the treatment with indomethacin combined with potassium repletion and spironolactone is associated with improvement in the symptoms and biochemical dearrangement of Barter's syndrome. The phenylbutazone causes agranulocytosis due to bone marrow suppression. The phenylbutazone causes agranulocytosis due to bone marrow suppression is more important for GPAT. So next is propionic acid derivatives include ibuprofen, ketoprofen and fluripropane. Ketoprofen possesses additional lysosomal stabilizing action and flurbiprofen can be used topically as eye drugs. So flurbiprofen is used as a topically as eye drugs and the ibuprofen has been cleared for pediatric patients. And the naproxen and oxaprozin are long-acting drugs that also inhibit leukocyte migration. And the mefenamic acid also possesses prostaglandin receptor antagonist and PLPA2 inhibitory activity. It is very useful in dysmenorrhea. And the sulindac and nabumetone are the prodrugs. And the phenacetin, it is the prodrug of paracetamol, is implicated in causing analgesics neuropathy. And the ketorolac is the only NSAID that can be used. It is also available as eye drugs. So ketorolac is also available as eye drugs. The course longer than 5 days is not recommended for ketorolac. And the piroxicam and tenoxicam are longest acting non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs due to enterohepatic cycling. The oxaprozin is another very long acting non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Apazone. The apazone possesses potent uricosuric activity. It is indicated in which other NSAIDs have failed. So apazone is used, it possesses the potent uricosuric activity, so it indicates when the other NSAIDs has been failed. So next we see the preferential cyclooxygenase 2 inhibitors. These drugs have more inhibitory action on cyclooxygenase 2 than cyclooxygenase 1. Drugs included in this group are nimesulide, the potential of causing hepatotoxicity, and also meloxicam, nabumetone, it is a prodrug, and etadolac and diclofenac. The NSAIDs are acidic in nature except nabumetone. The relatively less gastrointestinal toxicity is experienced with the use of these drugs. So next we see the selective cyclooxygenase 2 inhibitors. These drugs have advantage of very little gastrointestinal toxicity. However, the renal toxicity is similar and chances of thrombosis, that means acute MI and stroke, and are increased on prolonged use. Rofecoxib and valdecoxib were withdrawn due to increased risk of myocardial infarction. The celecoxib, rofecoxib and valdecoxib are sulfonamide derivatives, thus can cause rashes and hypersensitivity. And also etriocoxib is long acting coxib and monitoring of hepatic function is must during its use. So the etriocoxib is longest acting coxib and monitoring of hepatic function is must during its, that means etriocoxib is used, most important for GPAT. And also the lumiracoxib is a newer cyclooxygenase 2 inhibitor that has more activity in the acidic medium. Also the Zapirlukast is the new selective cyclooxygenase 2 inhibitor, most important for GPAT. The question also been asked for the selective COX2 inhibitor is Zapirlukast. So Zapirlukast is selective COX2 inhibitor, most important. Then note that the all non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs are weak acids except nabumetone, and also the all NSAIDs are racemic mixtures except naproxen. It is present as single enantiomer, and diclofenac have no chiral center. And the third is nephrotoxicity and hepatotoxicity may occur with any NSAID. So nephrotoxicity and hepatotoxicity may occur with any of the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, and the all non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs are almost equally efficacious except tolmetin is not effective in gout, and the aspirin is less effective for ankylosing spondylitis. So the aspirin is less effective for ankylosing spondylitis. So here is the end of this chapter, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, and the part 2. So Hope you like this video. Please, if you like this video, please like, comment, and also like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and also share this video to more and more to your GPAT aspirants as well as CET aspirants. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next chapter. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Stay tuned. Welcome students to our new YouTube channel Pharmatech, the division of excellence.